I just realized that my shirt's on backwards. Hello, everybody. I will be right back. La 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 la. That is a disadvantage of wearing. Yeah, I buy. I'm back again. That is a disadvantage of wearing cheap. This is a cheap $5 T-shirt that I've had for like ever. So it's like, yeah, it's possible to put them on backwards and not. What's going on here? I am having such a lazy day today. I'm trying to get myself all snuggled in. I'm kind of like in the corner. There's the arm of my couch here. So I'm kind of in the corner. Yeah, and I've got a pillow behind me. I've literally got a pillow right here so I can just rest my arm. So now I can use my mouse. I can rest my arm here and use the mouse. Well, rest my arm ish. Then I can rest my arm on this pillow over here and use the keyboard if I need to. I am having the laziest today. But that's okay. How you guys doing? Have to get my caffeine. My dogs and my crows had an argument this morning. It was kind of funny to watch. Crows were in waiting for their food. They wait on the balcony for me. I got to start getting footage of them because they'll just sit in the balcony, just waiting for me. And then they were waiting for me. I took them out some food, but I left the door open for a couple of minutes, so the dogs were like going back and forth. So the crows were like over in the tree. There's a tree right over there. So they're over in the tree watching, going, hey, are they gone yet? Are they gone yet? And then every time they tried to come over, the dogs were like, bark, bark, bark. We're not gone yet. But anyway, lots and lots of fun, exciting things. Today we're going to be talking about Roswell. Well, I'll be babbling about Roswell while you guys go, what the fuck is she on about now? But anyway. Anyway. Only one person here, Gail or Moira. Oh, Gail and Moira. It tells me how many people are here, but then it doesn't do it accurately. So I never know what's going on with that, but that's okay. I'm just still kind of setting things up. I am committed to being extra lazy. I finished Lisa's blanket for her. I was going to do that on camera. Then I realized if I wanted it for Friday, if I wanted her to have it for tomorrow, so she has something to cling to as she works out through her anxieties. I figured I should get that done for her right away. So that's done. But the reason why I didn't do it on camera is because now that I've got the swearing fabric, I get to prioritize. So it's like, oh, wait a second. If I go ahead and get that done and just get her done, yeah, it looks awesome. It's great. But I figured if I go back on my word to show that one being done, yeah, Unicorn's Journey. Yeah, she is. Oh my God, she is vibrating. She's so excited. But I figured if I go back on my word to film that, then I can move straight on to using that NSFW fabric. Yeah, I decided to reprioritize because we had the was goodness and we weren't really sure we really never did finalize a design for that. So I said, hey, let's just go with the simplest design that she had previously approved. Let's go with the simplest design because it's only 9 pieces. It's a 9-piece. It's only 9 sections that I had to do. It was a lot quicker. So she agreed to that. Got it done. After all this fucking around, took me 2 days to do it. 2 days and I got it done because that's all I did. Well, 2 days total. Anyway, yeah, she's super happy with. There's even it's funny because it looks amazing in the picture. There's a couple of mistakes on it, no biggie. When you quilt the way I do, you embrace the words rustic and boho. But she loves it. She loves it. She found it in the morning and she was in there cuddling it as soon as she saw it before she went to work on Thursday. But anyway, today we are supposed to be talking about the Roswell crash. And I had the lazies because I was working on that quilt. The Roswell crash, and if I can find it, ideally, there was. there are other Roswell type incidents that have been reported. What was that? Nope, that's something different. Okay, there's been other types of incidents reported. Yeah, honestly, no one sees the flaws that only the artist sees. I will tell you right now, my next project I'll be using the swearing fabric, and I definitely 100% want to highlight what mistakes have been in previous projects that nobody has noticed or cared about. Even this, let me just go get it. We're talking about UFOs. It's a perfect time to grab a quilt. Where is it? Yeah, okay, there it is. There it is. Got it. I'm just going to hold up shit. Hi, Trisha. We're talking about UFOs today, but I'm just showing something. Okay, so here is the corner. Here is that corner there, right? So these were all done. Each one of these pieces was done as separate pieces and then attached at the end, quilt as you go style, right? And see how that one's like, it's nearly perfect. I'm doing in reverse here. It's nearly perfect, right? Okay. Then we come over to, where's the one I fucked up? I didn't fuck it up. It's not a fuck up. It's a beautiful, beautiful blanket. There it is. This one here. Come on, get up here. Get up here. This is important shit. This is important shit. Yeah, we need a UFO quilt. Now that one there goes straight through, then down by almost a half an inch, and then continues. Like I said, these are all separate pieces. These are all separate pieces that were done separately and then connected. So that was done. I did that one by itself, then that one, then that one, then that one. Then I had to sew it all together at the end, right? I'm sure you guys kind of know what I'm talking about. But that's a mistake. That's not perfect. And yet, when I do this, no one knows or cares. And that's the punchline. No one knows, no one cares. That's the punchline. You have a beautiful blanket. I love my quilt as you go. Okay. If you are like entering a contest, or if it matters, there's other ways to do your quilting, so you're not going to have to worry about those types of mistakes. Exactly. It looks perfect. It's perfect. It's perfectly imperfect, exactly the way it is. But there's no but. There's no self-deprecating but on my end. But people sit down for the first time to do a project like this because fabric is fucking expensive. I mean, the first quilt that I did for Lisa with the what the frick was on that with the Hello Kitty on it, that cost, because don't forget, okay, the very first quilt that I made for Lisa, I was barely starting at what I was doing for the bags and stuff like that. I didn't know how to shop for discounts. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. The very first quilt that I made for Lisa, her big Hello Kitty quilt, that fabric cost me over $600. $600 worth of fabric, and I'm hysterically blind to how much work how much time it took. It was one of my first projects. My very first quilt was a king size, right? So you put together something like that, you get something's off, and you're devastated. I just spent $600 to have this mistake. This is why I'm taking a couple of minutes at the beginning of a UFO. Yeah. All that matters is its comfiness. Yeah. Oh yeah. If shopping sales, this is why I shop from my stash instead of going, like, if I'm doing a project or whatever. Like we found a good sale on that. We found a good sale on that fabric, and I did buy extra so that I can put extra in the shop and pay myself back a little bit for the fabric that I spent. Plus, now that I'm set up as a business, I can get some business discount. I can get some tax discount, tax breaks on as a business expense. And oh yeah, she loves that quilt already. Anyway, I babble about this every freaking chance I get, because there are other styles and ways to quilt where getting everything exactly lined. Yeah, deductions. We're getting everything lined up. Really, hi, Bohemian Girl. We're just babbling about quilting for a second because we just distracted me, and this is the kind of day I'm having. But we will be getting back on track talking about the Roswell incident. So yeah, so I am like every chance I get, I'm up on that soapbox going, a completed project that does what it's supposed to do is more important than a perfect project. And most of the mistakes, almost every single mistake that you are going to make as a quilter, unless you're entering competitions, almost every mistake that you could make as a quilter, as long as your quilt itself isn't falling apart on you, nobody's going to know. You're the only one who's going to know or care that the mistake happened. I beat this drum. Yeah. Oh, I live in Tangent Town. We know this. We know this about me. If you're coming in here going, oh my God, Roswell, let's talk about Roswell. It's like quilting first. It's fine. It's fine. We're good. We're good. Anyway, no, Lisa's deck drops tomorrow. I broke my just to repeat it. I broke my promise about doing that quilt on camera so that I could get this done in time for Lisa, and so I can move on with the NSFW fabrics, because that's kind of important too. Yeah, Gail says I can be too precious with fabric sometimes because of how much it costs. I buy it and then just don't cut into it. I'm getting better at convincing myself to cut into the good stuff. This is my advantage. This is my extreme advantage. Like, I've got fabrics that I've got this. Almost all the fabric that I buy, I can sell the leftovers in the shop. Like when I bought the backing for this one. Yeah, perfect quilt is nice. A completed project done with love is priceless. Okay, this is not Disney, right? So, and this is the back. I bought extra. I will say, the saving grace for me is, like I said, the business deduction angle. I always buy extra. I bought extra, and the extra is going to go into some bags and stuff that are in the shop. There's no copyright issues, so I can do whatever I want with whatever leftover fabric it is. Hi, Free Spirit. We're going to get on track in a second. I'm just having one of those. Pardon me. I'm having a day. A good day, but I'm having a day. I'm a total squirrel today. Anyway, yeah, Lisa's thing launches tomorrow. I think you guys probably know more than I do. I think her final decision was to go live anywhere between 9:45 and 10 o'clock. She's going to go live, and then hard stop. She's going to go on the live stream, and then hard stop. I think it's 10:30. Yeah, she's going to try and she might be a few minutes early, because for her, tomorrow is going to be Christmas Day for her. She's going to be excited. She is going to be as excited and wound up as a kid on Christmas Day. She's probably dragging me out of bed at 5 a.m. But yeah, I think the hard stop, go live by 10, and then 10:30 on the dot is when she's going to launch the Kickstarter. Because you have to do that. Yeah, launching at 10:30. So, because she's going to come in, chit chat, and obviously after she launches, if there's still questions, she's still going to answer them. But yeah, done is better than perfect. And I'll tell you right now, even the mistakes that you notice. Oh, 5 a.m. for you. Oh, well, at least, sorry. Even the mistakes that you notice, nobody else is going to notice. They're not going to care. And if they notice and they care, then they don't deserve it anyway. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've given away. John got me to do some quilts. He was dating somebody that had a bunch of nieces and nephews. He got me to do some quilts for them. He paid for the materials, but I have never sold a quilt, right? So it's like, if you're giving away your quilts and people are like, ew, it's not quite right. It's like, oh, give it back then. I'll find somebody who actually appreciates it. Now I'm just being an asshole because I can get away with it. Okay. Yeah, with craft supplies, pens, notebooks, I buy it to use them, and I'm always like, no, I don't want to mess them up, because shit gets expensive. It gets really expensive. I mean, like I said, I get lucky. I can, I get a little here, I get a little extra here, a little extra there for my own personal projects. And because I'm also selling it on the side, one of the main motivators for me to get into doing the Etsy was to make enough money back to continue making bags for Lisa, and to have a few extra bucks for my own projects. So that's made it really easy for me to go, yeah, just do this. So, oh yeah, $600 in fabric, blah blah. But once you start getting deals, knowing who to talk to, waiting for the sales and blah blah blah, you do start getting better prices down the road. But anyway, we are here to talk about Roswell. We are here to talk about the Roswell incident. So the Roswell incident, I think we all basically know what the Roswell incident was all about. Of course, the first thing I do is don't bring up the page that I want. Let's just go. Straight to my favorite generic source of information, Wikipedia. So the Roswell incident, they're saying now, let me just do this. Let me just bring this one up. So this was July 8th. This was Tuesday, July the 8th, 1947. That was the headline that day. Let me see. There it is. That was the headline that day from the Roswell Daily Record. And basically, this is what started the whole thing. It wasn't just that a crash happened. It's that the news recorded this. No details on flying disc are revealed. Roswell hardware man and his wife reported disc seen. People saw this. People were seeing this. People saw this. It crashed in the middle of a farm somewhere. Not going to say where. Let me see. Okay, so basically, headline comes out that a UFO has crashed. That a flying saucer on the ranch in Roswell region was captured. Flying saucer had just been recently adopted as a term because of a different report. I can't remember the exact details of it, but oh, thank you. Thank you. So, when was it? Like a year prior, a few months to a year prior, somebody had spotted a flying saucer, and he was a military guy. He literally thought that what he was spotting was something that was under. He was a military. He was a military flight pilot, and he assumed that what he was seeing was a military project underway. So he just went ahead and reported it. So go, hey guys, I saw your whatever that I saw the thing that you were researching. It looked like a flying saucer. Well, for some reason, this report became public. Don't know why. So I'm going to talk about Roswell while you talk about my sewing. You guys are awesome, by the way. So the term flying saucer is kind of a new term. There was a military report, not 100% sure where that came from because it got put on the news, blah, blah, blah. This happened, right? So the first report of a flying saucer was kind of laughed off and the term stuck, but it didn't really go too far because there was some current concerns even among the people making the report that, oh, well, maybe it was a top secret military project. This is only a couple of years after the end of World War II. So people were pretty quick to go, oh, okay, then it was nothing. That's fine. We didn't see anything. They were pretty quick to back off. And on top of the fact that there's no such thing as little green men, so people were quick to back off. Anyway, so let me see. So basically, one of the biggest things that happens here is that Roswell is basically surrounded by military bases, which is already a bit of a problem. It makes it really easy. Oh, Bohemian Girl is working. That's okay. That's okay. I'm just babbling. So where are we at here? So basically, Kenneth Arnold's, yeah, June 24th. June 24th, Kenneth Arnold's has an account of what became known as flying saucers. This started a bit of a craze, which resulted in over 800 sightings that were reported. So this is already going on in the background. All these UFOs are being spotted all over the place, like everywhere. So basically, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I should have taken the time to look some stuff up. I never do. I never take the time to look this stuff up. Oh, hey, Michelle, how you doing? Okay, I never take the time to look at this stuff up in advance because it's not nearly as much fun, I think. Apparently, I think. I don't know. So anyway, so then, I'm trying to get the name right, but there's a whole list of names here that I'm looking at right now. So a man named Brazel, Brazel, he's living on a farm. He's living on basically a big ass fucking ranch in the Roswell area. He reports that he found debris in one of the fields when he was basically, they talk about running fence and stuff like that in westerns and stuff, where basically if you have a big ranch, you have to basically check the fences once in a while, check the land, make sure everything's okay, this sort of thing. Well, this is what this guy found. This guy found debris while he was doing this. Now, this is from 1947. So whether or not he just stumbled across it or whether he saw something and went to investigate it, it's not really clear anymore. It's not really all that clear how that happened, right? Okay, it's not clear to us because it's not clear to us who are I think this is what I like. I like not being an expert about it and just chatting, seeing what you guys think about it, seeing if you guys have, because sometimes this is a 1947 event that I've been hearing about since I was a kid, off and on, whatever. So you've got to go, okay, which part is my memory? Media. Well, media changes, right? As one thing falls out of favor, something new takes its place. So like I can remember being taught certain things as a kid that are now no longer like, oh, this country is called this. Well, now it's not that name anymore. Now it's something else. We used to believe this about like, well, okay, when I grew up as a kid taking aspirin, children's aspirin is good for you, right? Takes down, reduces fever. Now we know children's aspirin. Now we know aspirin in general is a huge fucking problem. And unless you have a heart condition, you can't get it anymore because, live and learn, right? So part of the problem with these historical incidents that go back really, really far is figuring out what parts were not what parts were true, but what parts, where along the line have things changed? Has the information changed? Has the information didn't change, but the information that people are willing to talk about what has changed. And this goes round and round in circles. Okay, so there we go. Okay, in early July of 1947, I just found an article from the Huffington Post, the Huff Post. In early July of 1947, the exact date isn't known, something fell out of the sky and crashed on a ranch near Roswell, leaving scattered debris. The ranch foreman was the first to see the material, and he eventually told the Roswell sheriff, who then alerted the military at nearby Roswell Army Airfield, RAAF, home of the 509th Bomb Group. Now, don't forget, okay, this is going to become important for the conversation because large military bases like Area 51 is not too far from there. There is a whole hundreds and hundreds of square miles of space allocated to military use. This kind of becomes important after the fact. So Major Jesse Marcel was assigned to the initial task of heading to the debris field to collect some of the material, which was described as shiny wreckage, including pieces of rubber, super-resistant tinfoil, wooden sticks, and metallic-looking I-beams. Now, the thing is that the initial reports, some of the initial things that people said they saw were bodies of little men, They reported seeing more than just super resistant tinfoil. They reported seeing more than this, right? So this was an article written later after the fact, and one of the speakers at this weekend's Roswell celebration was somebody who was 11 years old in 1947, who, along with his mother, was shown pieces of the UFO material by his father. These were I-beams about 12 to 18 inches long, and the most unusual part was the symbols or writing on the inner surface. He told the reporter, "I thought at first it was like Egyptian hieroglyphs. But then looking closer, it was more like geometric symbols." Now, this is the really interesting thing, because military hardware is marked. We put labels on everything. We label everything. So this is not labeled with anything, and what little bit is there is not anything that anybody could understand. On July the 8th, the Roswell Army Airfield, so the military, issued a press release indicated the military had recovered a crashed flying saucer. This is where things get really, really, really weird, really fast, because do I have a photo? Well, that was my which photo am I on? The military released this. Oh, we found a flying saucer. Okay. So the military officer who looked at this could not identify this as of human origin. Okay. The interesting thing is that the guy who found the original wreckage, he was ex-military, and he had found weather balloons before, because the military did put up weather balloons. This is important because, of course, the whole thing was shrugged off as, oh, this is just debris from a weather balloon. This weather balloon story starts taking over everything. It takes over everything. And that's all anybody wants to talk about. Yeah, wooden sticks. That's not very UFO. So, okay. So I just stop and look at comments, because, I should do that once in a while. So this gets very circular and very confusing very, very quickly, because this headline comes out. Military has found a UFO. Which one am I on? That's not the one I'm on. So it comes out, they found a UFO. Proof of little green men. This is what we found. The very next day, the military issues a correction and says, no, that wasn't a UFO. Somebody just got excited. It was really, come on, I'm just going to flip around here. It was really a weather balloon. And this is the stuff that they showed. The unfortunate problem here is that, let me see if I can get back to it. I just start clicking all over the place, and then I lose track of where I am. No, that's not the one I want. That's okay. I'll be there soon enough anyway. Ignore the client and ignore the thwapping away. No, that's not. Oh. What is that? I just found something. Okay, we'll look at that in a bit. Anyway, so what we've got going on is we've got, come on, there we go. So what we've got going on is, the very first thing they do is they say, oh, it's a UFO. Then they come back like within 24 hours. And they put this thing out. People are talking like crazy. Oh, I saw this. People are describing the things that they've seen, including seeing bodies. Okay. Yeah, in 1978, retired Air Force officer Jesse Marcel revealed that the Army's weather balloon claim had been a cover story, but added to this speculation that the debris was of extraterrestrial origin. So this is something else that we're going to be looking at from Jesse Marcel. So basically, we found a flying disc. We found a flying disc that had crashed. 24 hours later is no, it was a weather balloon. So this makes absolutely no sense. And apparently this debris has been lying around for a while, and nobody really knows when it actually crashed. This is the story that we're hearing as it is now. Thing is that when this guy said, oh yeah, there was something, I found something weird up on the property, yada, 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 people had gone out to take a look. There had been several people that saw the crash site before this guy reported it really to anybody, because you're just sitting around shooting the shit. Oh yeah, I found something weird back in the field, right? So people are saying that they found evidence, they found all sorts of stuff that does not match what the military said was there 24 hours after, saying, yeah, this is the thing, right? This is the important part. Tricia says, is that really the recovered material, though? Surely there's no way the military would let photos out like that. This is my exact same argument about shooting down that Chinese spy balloon. That I made the exact same argument about the exact same situation, that the Chinese spy balloon just from last year. Why is the government why is the military showing evidence? Why are they showing pictures of this stuff to prove a certain theory? It's like, dude, if there's what they were saying was that this was part of Project Mogul, a high altitude balloon experiment, yada yada yada. And this gets really fucking weird, because I came across something that you guys are going to really enjoy. Yeah, Moira says, what do you make of the fact that this exact location, Roswell, the White Sands, was where the U.S. post-World War II brought German scientists to work on rocket and missile experiments? What I think about that is that some reports of U activity, reports of U activity, I can't even say UFO. Reports of this kind of activity are most common in areas of nuclear power plants, high profile projects and structures, military bases of all countries. If I were ET, I would want to, if I were ET, and if I had the technology to build a spaceship and go to somebody else's planet, I would be wanting to investigate their most advanced technologies. So are some of our UFO sightings, are some of our sightings people spotting experimental craft? Most likely. When the what was it, the stealth bomber, that Delta, the B-52 stealth bomber or whatever that one was, when they were working on that, that's the one that was the wedge shaped. That's the, let me see which one this is. Of course, I'm going to find stupid shit. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Come on. Okay, well, the best I can show you is a Amazon link, because I'm not gonna try too hard. This is just a poster, right? So this is a Delta bomber refueling. It's just a wedge-shaped aircraft. When this was in development, and people, this was reported as a UFO. The interesting thing was that whenever this guy was spotted, the military would basically either ignore or say it's an in development aircraft, and we're not going to discuss it. They would do one or the other. They would either ignore it or just say, we're not discussing it. It's in development. And they wouldn't give any more details until they were ready to release it and say, this is our newest military aircraft. So we have developed, we as a species have developed, I mean, obviously I'm up in Canada. It's not my country, right? So are some of our UFO sightings military aircraft that's in development? Absolutely. But whenever people are reporting these craft, when people were reporting this strange Delta-shaped object, the military didn't get involved. They stayed the fuck out of it. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. And if you're forced to say something, it's a national security, for national security reasons. We will not be discussing this sighting. Whatever. Deny, trickle truth, then admit. No such thing. No such thing. Well, yeah, we develop new things out there all the time. Who knows what people are seeing? Oh, we have a new bomber, right? But yeah, I mean, I think it's very, very likely that about probably 50% of what we see is military projects and development. And that's fair. That's fair and reasonable to say that. But I think the other 50% of what we see is ET checking up on what the natives are doing. It's like, oh, where, like, if I have the capacity to get here, if I have a capacity to go to another planet in a spaceship, I'm going to want to know if the people I'm observing are going to have the capacity to visit us back. So I would assume that, like, if we send our spaceships to another planet and spot a native population, we're going to want to know, we're going to investigate how advanced are they. This is pure logic. There's no maybe. Of course, we're going to get our main activity. Rocket missile experiments, ET is going to be interested. Nuclear power plants, ET is going to be interested. And nuclear power plants have an inordinate number of sightings reported. So there's that too. Major airports, they have they have radar. Major airports have radar. They see this stuff. But anyway, so back to, I had a picture out. Back to that guy. So this guy, after the military says, we found a UFO. Oh, look, here it is. Here's this flimsy piece of balloon material that we're happy to show you in spite of national security issues. Oh, this was part of a top secret project. Oh, okay. Then why are you showing us anything? We've seized all the material because it was related to a top secret military project in operation in the area at the time. It is not a UFO. Please do not panic. The conversation's over at that point. That's the logical thing. That's what a prepared military. Pardon me. I have been drinking too much pop today. That is what, if you are prepared, okay. Let's break it down. Let's make this really, let's personalize this a little bit and apply logic. You are planning a surprise birthday party for your spouse. You've got shit coming into the house, going out of the house, right? You've got stuff going on. Your spouse spots something and goes, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?" Are you going to be caught? You're planning something that you don't want him to know about. You're the military doing a top secret military project that you don't want the public to know about. And you're not prepared with a rational, reasonable story to back it up. Makes no sense. Your spouse, your husband is you're planning a birthday party for your husband who's hard to surprise. So you're making a phone call, getting off the phone. Oh, who are you talking to? Oh, nobody, just the neighbor. You're going to have a plan. The military had no plan. That was clear. Let's grab some shit, throw it in a pile and say, this was the UFO that this guy found. This is what this guy found. There's no plan. It's like other top secret military projects that were ongoing at the time. The military had a plan. When they did bring the German scientists, a bunch of German scientists defected from Germany near the final days of World War II. They brought them over to the U.S. They helped finish the work. And I'm not sure what the dates are. I'm not American, so I don't, American history is whatever, right? I'll answer that in a second, because I actually know generically, I know the answer to that. So thing is that when this happened, of course, the military is like, we're not discussing these guys. I thought some of them did. I thought some defected and some were captured, but they all agreed to cooperate in exchange for being freed after the war, in exchange for not having to face the same charges. Yeah, let's just jump here for a minute. People in spy movies plan better, and the U.S. military couldn't. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, it would have been more believable. It would have been more believable for the military to say, this was an experimental aircraft. And the remaining debris found on the site did look very unusual. But please be assured that this was just a new design for a aircraft that we were testing out. There is no need for the public to worry. Yeah, the U.S. So there is absolutely no logic to this. So the first guy whose job it is, he is working for the military to be the guy who communicates with the public when shit goes wrong, has never been told what to say when somebody, look, if somebody reports this is what you say. If this happens, this is the evidence we're going to, nothing. There's no communication. So for me, the facts of Roswell, we're never going to get to the facts of Roswell, period. Because there's like 2 or 3 different military bases in the area. There was a Project Mogul happening at the same time with, I don't know if Project Mogul was happening at the same time or if they just said, or if that was their cover story. Oh, Project Mogul. So weather balloons, it's not a dumb question. A lot of people don't know what a weather balloon does. A generic weather balloon will have like, they'll launch it and it'll back in the 1940s and 50s, it would be like a really strong cable connecting it so that they could draw it back in when they were done. The basic function of a weather balloon is literally to have weather measuring equipment on board, send it up, record the information, bring it back, and that way they can tell weather conditions, especially on airfields, right? Meteorologists, before we had weather satellites, we had weather balloons. So that's the basic thing right there. And the fact that these balloons exist allow them to carry out other experiments. Like the Chinese spy balloon was basically, according to the military, a giant weather balloon that had recording equipment on it that they then had radio receivers sending the information back to whoever was getting it. I watched that show and it had potential. I couldn't really get into it because it was a little bit too boring. It was a little bit too boring. And there was Roswell the one, there was Project Blue Book and Roswell, and there was a couple of others at the time, and a couple of them were more focused on the idea that people are crazy and report stupid shit. And then, hi, it's me, Tammy. A couple of them were focused on people reporting stupid shit and oh yes, they saw swamp gas and blah blah blah, and it got that gets weird. So stutter. More caffeine will fix that. Calm me right down. So for me, where Roswell is concerned, because the facts, the basics are so well known, I jump straight into Tangent Town and down all the rabbit holes. That's kind of how I deal with that, right? I can close those two. Where is it? My God, I keep closing it. So the thing is that military announces a flying saucer was found on a ranch. Then the military, like 24 hours later, comes back and says, no, it was something else. Now, to be fair, the United States, by 1947, the United States had launched, I'm just reading this straight from Wikipedia, by the way. I'm just kind of cherry picking so I actually want to talk about it, not just read an article out loud. By 1947, the United States had launched thousands of top secret Project Mogul balloons carrying devices to listen for Soviet atomic tests. On June 4th, researchers at Alamogordo Army Airfield launched a long train of these balloons. They lost contact within 17 miles. So these listening for Soviet atomic tests, the radio equipment, listening doesn't mean just a literal microphone. It means like devices to measure radiation and stuff like that. And so they would like get these balloons up really, really high, like 50, 60,000 feet, 80,000 feet up, and then see if see if there was any spikes in background radiation and things like that. So it's like, okay, if we detect a spike in background radiation, we know there's a really good chance that somebody has done a nuclear test, this sort of thing. That's what they were for. And these back then, they were tethered to the ground because they had no way to recover the balloon or the equipment if they were to let them free float. They let the balloons free float now because the equipment just put in a transmitter with a good battery and get your information. But then they had to bring them down. So, so later that month, Brazel discovered tinfoil, rubber tape, and thin wooden beams scattered across several acres of his ranch. Here's the problem. And I remember reading about this, and I'm not going to go deep diving for it. This Brazel guy discovered. Okay, let's back up and reread this. The United States had launched thousands of Project Mogul balloons. Now I'm assuming, you know what? I am assuming that there was no way to recover these balloons, and that could be wrong. Yeah, Project Mogul was a top secret project by the U.S. Army Air Forces involving microphones flown on high altitude balloons whose primary purpose was long distance detection of sound waves generated by Soviet atomic bomb tests. The project was carried out from 1947 until 1949. Okay. I may have to be corrected. They may have just let these. I may be wrong about whether or not they were able to let these balloons just free float and have them information transmitted. I'm assuming that they were tethered though, because most of them were back then, because that was the only way to recover. The technology to just have transmitters on battery just wasn't the same. Anyway, okay, here's the problem. Project Mogul had launched thousands of top secret balloons carrying devices to listen for Soviet atomic tests. Whenever a balloon broke loose, this guy had found weather balloons before, because his ranch was on the path. Balloon breaks free, balloon comes down a few miles later in his yard. He's found them before. This is not. Yeah, the Roswell show was boring. I'm just going to be back on a tangent again. I thought it was boring because it was just very it was a little bit too adult, and I was young. It was like very very very, yeah, just dull. Anyway, so you're telling me that a rancher whose property lies on the path of these thousands of balloons that are being released by the military, who has seen a crashed weather balloon before, would take a look at this and go, nope, that's a UFO. That's something different. That makes no sense. For starters, it makes absolutely no sense that somebody who has seen weather balloons before, and this guy was ex-military. He knows how this shit goes, right? So if I'm a rancher and I find tinfoil, rubber tape, and thin pieces of wood, I'm not going to go UFO. I'm not going to go strange flying saucer. I'm not going to think that I saw something from out of this world. Makes no sense. And we're not talking about, like I said, we're not talking about somebody out in the sticks who's never. If a weather balloon had crashed in my backyard as a kid, I wouldn't know what to make of it, because we didn't have that shit happening in our area to begin with. This guy is in the area, lots of military bases, ex-military himself, and he's had to go out and clean up weather balloon debris before, because you can't have your cattle eating it, right? Okay. So this guy reports that he finds something that's not a weather balloon, and people are like, no, it's got to be a weather balloon. You don't know what you're talking about, even though you found weather balloons before. This is different. So therefore, and this guy stated, where's his name? Let me see if I can just look him up directly. Come on. Give me his name. I need his full name, or I'm not going to be able to look it up. No. There we go. Let me see if it's going to give me something else on this guy. No, it's just going to go back. This is the unfortunate problem. It's like there's a part of me that goes, I wish I'd have kept track. I wish I'd have done more personally to keep track of some of. I used to get the magazines and the whatever back in the day, right? I wish I had saved some of that shit from back then, because now everything has been like, I don't want to say cleansed, but like written and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. Like the stuff that you got back then was different than what's out now, right? Yeah, it's not going to give me a lot of information. So now I got to go dig back into my memory. Anyway, this guy knew what he was looking at. And this is not what he saw. This is not what he reported. This is not what this is not what the first article talked about. And this is not what other witnesses, because like I said, this is not like, he didn't just see this and call the military right away. It wasn't a same day thing. He saw this. And then after a while, somebody said, oh, you should probably let the military know. It's like, okay. Because this guy knows from experience. Well, if you find a weather balloon, you just clean it up and get on with your day. It's like, so it didn't occur to him. Other people had said, like, that people talked about seeing bodies. They saw a big piece of wreckage. Yeah, clickbait instead of investigated articles. And there's so much of it to filter through that you just got to rely on your memory and hope that you got it right. And I'll tell you right now, like, whatever I remember now is never going to be 100% accurate, which muddies up the conversation, right? It's like, well, I remember reading this a long time ago, and that may have been exactly what I read a long time ago, but I'm not, if the current clickbait article doesn't agree with my memory, then it's just anybody's guess. But anyway, this guy was ex-military. He had cleaned up balloon debris before. What they showed in the photo, and he had said something in an interview, either him or somebody that was with him, because he had taken people out to see the wreckage. It's like, yeah, I found this really weird thing on my land. It's really weird. They found metal that they didn't understand what it was. And like I said, he'd seen weather balloons before. It's like bits of rubber and tubing. Nobody's going to call that a UFO or a flying saucer, especially the fucking military guy. Oh, I'm going to call the military guy. He's going to look at this. He's going to look at this clearly human origin debris and announce publicly that a UFO was found. That no, there's absolutely no fucking way. So people had already seen this. People had already been talking about this to a degree. Then he realizes, oh, I should probably call the military, because he knew it wasn't a military asset. That's why he didn't bother. Well, it's not military, so I don't need to call them, until somebody suggested that he should. He calls the military. The military comes out, takes one fucking look, and goes, yeah, press release, we found a UFO. 24 hours later, no, we were mistaken. It was a weather balloon. Makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, like Moira says, there are some interesting documentaries on YouTube, but of course, we only know what they want us to know. Like I said, I can talk all day about the stuff that I remember seeing, but is it going to match up with the stuff that's currently available? And no, it's not. It's not, because my memory is not perfect, and people report based on what they feel is important, pertinent information. Here's the really weird thing that I just spotted today. Now, it's been around for a long time. I just spotted it today. I try not to deep dive. I try not to go too crazy looking up anything. I just hit and run for a few cool links that we can explore together. Because if I do it the other way around, then I'm like, okay, let me just read this. This is mediadefense.gov. Mediadefense.gov, a for public consumption report, the Roswell report, a 232-page report. Do we have a year? When was this done? When was this made? I just found the link. I didn't see. Let me see what else we have here. So this is the Roswell report, headquarters distribution statement A, approved for public release, distribution unlimited. So the military, right? Library of Congress, 1963. Oh no, 1963 to something. Let me see what we got here. Do we have a... Am I showing it? Let me see if I'm showing it. Now, Trisha's saying it makes no sense that as ex-military, he wouldn't report it straight away, knowing that it wasn't a balloon. See, this is the interesting thing. I think if he, I think he has he had found balloons in the past. I think he assumed if he had thought it was a balloon, he would have just completely ignored. Oh yeah, I found a balloon. I don't think it occurred to him to contact the military initially, at least, because he didn't know what it was until somebody said he should. This is the story. This is the story. For all we know, he contacted the military, and the military said, "Keep your mouth shut till we can look at it." Then somebody got excited, then reported it. We don't know the exact, or we don't know exactly how many days or weeks passed while things were happening. Yeah, he's saying he knows it's not a balloon or an Earth aircraft, but he's not going to the military and being like UFO. Here's the thing, is that a lot of people back then, and don't forget, Trisha, I'm just offering my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I mean, there's a whole lot that doesn't make sense here. There's a whole lot that doesn't make sense here, but it is a known fact. It is a known fact. And I don't know what this guy's military. Okay, the draft. Everybody had military experience back then. As long as you were an able-bodied male, you served your, what was it, 2 years or 4 years under the draft? I forget how much military service, compulsory military service. Okay. It was well known among the Air Force that reporting a UFO could be the end of your career. A lot of military guys did not report on UFOs until they did not talk about UFO encounters until after. Yeah. Moira, the last thing ex-military might do is go to the military. So it's a huge question. Why wouldn't he report it if he knew that it wasn't a weather balloon and thought that it might be something like, I don't think he gave much thought to what it could be. He just knew that it wasn't a weather balloon. And then somebody said, this doesn't look right. You should contact somebody. And apparently, and for all we know, he just saw it from a distance and didn't bother getting close for a while. You don't know. Ranches are big places. It's like, oh, what's that in the distance? Oh, the cows ain't bothering it, so I'm just going to leave it alone until I get to it. We don't know the full story behind why it took him so long, because there were reports of people saying that they saw bodies. They saw a cockpit with bodies. They saw a body on the ground, this sort of thing, right? They saw a body, but they could also see that the bodies weren't human. So here's what we get. Here's what we get by way. This is the military, national fucking security, don't you know? Yeah, unidentified flying objects, sightings and encounters, New Mexico, Roswell, Title I. I'm looking for a date. For sale by the Superintendent of Documents, U.S. Government Printing Office. So that's what it was originally done. Secretary, a forward by the Secretary of the Air Force, a guide for readers. Washington, D.C., U.S. Government Printing Office, 1995. So years and years and years and years and years later, this was Project Mogul. Captain James McAndrew serves as an intelligence applications officer reassigned to the Secretary of Air Force Declassification and Review Team. So now that Project Mogul is declassified, we can talk about it, is what they're saying. So he participated in the declassification of the Gulf War Air Power Survey 1993, blah, blah, blah. So this is the author. This is who wrote the report. Contents. Forward. Are you seeing? I'm going through a little fast. The index, that's usually at the very end. This is a 225-page document. Comparison of testimony. This entire document, 225 pages to debunk the Roswell incident, because the pressure by 1995 has only continued to increase. So basically, they spent 225 pages explaining how this was a weather balloon. But not only that, don't forget, Project Mogul was specialized equipment to listen for evidence of Soviet nuclear testing. And now they're saying, from 1947 until the late 1970s, the Roswell incident was essentially a non-story, which is true. It was locally a very, very big story because once that incident got attention, people started noticing the strange things in the skies around Roswell, and people noticed strange things in the skies around Roswell for a long time. There was a military base in the area. They stopped thinking about it. And then Roswell happened and they started going, how much of this is really military? Okay. Yeah, Mogul utilized acoustical sensors, radar reflecting targets, and other devices attached to a train of weather balloons over 600 feet long. Claims that the U.S. Army Air Force recovered a flying disc in 1947 were based primarily on the lack of identification of the radar target as element of weather equipment used in the long Mogul balloon train. The oddly constructed radar targets were found by a New Mexico rancher during the height of the first U.S. flying saucer wave in 1947. The rancher brought the remains of the balloons and radar targets to the local sheriff. He did not bring the remains. He brought some examples of stuff that he found on the property, and it was pieces of metal that he brought, not pieces of balloon. However, following some initial confusion at Roswell Army Airfield, the flying disc was soon identified by Army Air Force officials as standard radar target. So after some confusion, after a media release, an intentional drafted media release. It wasn't until that intentional drafted media release found its way to the paper that they swung in and said, no, it was a balloon. So they're ignoring this, okay? The reports that existed contained only descriptions of mundane materials that originated from the Project Mogul balloon train. Tinfoil, paper, tape, rubber, and sticks. Nobody is going to report nobody in their right mind, especially in 1947, nobody in their right mind is going to report this as a UFO. The first claim of bodies appeared in the late 70s, with additional claims made during the 80s and 90s. These claims were usually based on anecdotal accounts of second and third-hand witnesses collected by UFO proponents as much as 40 years after the alleged incident. Now, that part is true. That part is true. The reports of bodies or evidence of bodies, there's not a lot to show that was from the very, very beginning. It may have been, they may have said, oh yeah, there's like bodies out there, but they're not human, so I don't know what to do with them, so I just left them there. That was kind of one of the things that were said, blah, blah, blah. Don't know about that part. But this is the interesting part. This is where this report caught my undivided attention when I saw it earlier today. And I may just go, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I may read through parts of it. Well, I'm reading through parts of it now. So basically, this report is debunking the claim. This report is debunking the whole UFO claim. They just now, and like I said, I just found this like a couple hours ago, so I'm stumbling across this with you. Listen to this again. The first claim of bodies, this is going to matter in a second. The first claim of bodies appeared in the late 70s, with additional claims being made during the 80s and 90s. Okay, 1947, 57, 67. So over 20 years later, it took 20 years for the first claims of over 20 years for the first claims of bodies to start being made. This matters. This really matters, because an intelligent military would go, yeah, we don't know what's going on because the Roswell incident was confusing. Okay, this is me. Peggy, the government official, is like, yeah, we really don't know what's going on with these bodies claims. Like, the initial incident was already confusing enough while we sorted out where these UFO claims were coming when it was just balloon debris that was misidentified. And done. And stop talking. Stop fucking talking right there. Okay? Stop talking. They didn't. This report doesn't. This is an officially sanctioned report that came out in 1995. Okay? 40 years later, they're debunking the bodies that they could have just, again, ignored. Bodies? What bodies? Like, it took people 20 years to start claiming there was bodies. Like, no, this is not a thing. There was never, the initial report never included claims of bodies. We don't know why people are claiming this now. Done. You're done. You're done. The conversation's over. Okay, we're at page 17 of a 232-page report. What are they going to focus on? Okay, so here's, wait a sec, was there anything else to read? Yeah, second and third hand witnesses, 40 years after the incident. Okay, bodies. Now we're talking about the bodies. Project Mogul, to listen, to use acoustic equipment to measure Russian activity, the Cold War. Oh, here's what the balloons look like. Okay. So anybody who knows what tinfoil, sticks, glue, and tape looks like shouldn't be confusing this for a UFO, no matter how big it is. Okay. So again, here's this guy with some debris from a weather balloon saying, this is what they brought to me. And that's not what was reported. The reason why this was reported, and okay, I'm willing to say, okay, I did not know that the initial reports did not include claims of bodies. I mean, this whole thing happened 20 years before I was born, so sure. Wait, 47, 57, yeah, 20 years before I was born. Sure, I'm okay with that. This was not the material that was reported. What was reported was strange metallic material, couldn't mark it, couldn't bend it, couldn't break it, with strange markings. This guy's holding a weather balloon. Okay, that's what the military provided. Here, show this. That's not what was shown. The initial report said UFO. These were put out later when it's like, no, this is a weather balloon. Okay, so now this is the next two photos are Bohemian Girl says, I had no idea all that was going on there. I always thought Roswell was a site where debris was found and classified. My partner is an alien UFO nut. I'm sure he told me that, but I tuned him out. Okay, so the Roswell base is where the story goes that anytime proof of aliens or debris or whatever is found, it's taken to Roswell for further study. And whether or not that was already happening, or whether the Roswell UFO incident was the first, well, it's here. Okay, like this crash happened, and so the military came and cleaned everything up, and then took it all back to Roswell. That might have been the first. That might have just been a lucky accident that was nearby. For all we know, it was an alien it was an alien that had been captured and was trying to escape. We don't know. We have no idea. But no, Roswell has the reputation. That's where UFO stories. That's where UFO evidence gets taken. That's been the thing for years. I think as soon as the government, I think Area 51 was real. I think a lot of shit goes on at Area 51. I think once Area 51 started being more and more known. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to defend shit, Bohemian Girl. This is why I love talking about this shit anyway, so that's fine. So with my personal opinion is that as the public became more and more aware of Area 51 and the top secret research and this and this and this, I think the actual serious science that was happening at Area 51 quietly got moved over to Area 52 or 53 or 54. I think they're really, really important. Where exactly is Area 51? It's about 75 miles from Roswell, New Mexico, which is, yeah, they have definitely moved on. Area 51 is near Roswell, New Mexico, near the Los Alamos Air Force Base, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And they developed the stealth bomber there. I'm not sure if it's in Arizona or in New Mexico. It's kind of. I think Roswell is in New Mexico, and Area 51 is in. I think it's in Arizona. I think it's just over the state line. But that whole area is in the middle of nowhere, and there's a huge military base on the area. Now, is Area 52? Yeah, it's a smokescreen now. Is Area 52 still within the range of the same military installation? Possibly. Maybe that, okay. This is what do they call it? The Black Pyramid. There's this area up in Alaska right now that is getting some attention for strange activity. That's where one of those alien balloons were shot down. The ones that the government says are weather balloons, but they've never talked about it since. Strange how that works. So I think that the real science of Area 51 has been moved on to it's in the desert. That's about all I know. I have to look. I'm not American. I have to look at a map to remind myself where it is half the time. I know Roswell is in New Mexico, but I can't remember where Area 51 is, whether it's which side of the state line it's in. But anyway, so we're back to. I keep going back. I've got to get a second. I've got to get a second something up so I can actually watch the chat without having to go back and forth, because then I stop and start. Okay, so this is showing the weather balloon stuff. It's like, okay, so in 1947, if I saw something weird on the ground, sticks and tape and glue, I don't care. I don't care what it looks like in the sky. What does it look like when it crashes? Okay, and why once it crashed? Once the military found out it was there, why did the military access and clean up the site? But that's okay. Harassed rancher who located the saucer is sorry he told about it. Yeah, okay. WW Brazel, 48, Lincoln County rancher living 30 miles southeast of Corona today told his story of finding what the Army at first described as a flying disc. So now they're saying the Army, because they don't want this guy talking about what he saw. So he reports it. The publicity which attended his find causing him to add that if he ever found anything else short of a bomb, he wasn't going to say anything about it. He was brought here late yesterday by W.E. Whitmore, a radio station, whatever. The picture he posed for was sent out to AP. Sorry, I'm just going through quickly. He related that on June 14th, he and his 8-year-old son Vernon were about 7 or 8 miles from the ranch house of the J.B. Foster Ranch, which he operates. So he's like a ranch manager, right? They came upon a large area of bright wreckage made up of rubber strips, tinfoil, a rather tough paper, and sticks. This was not what he originally said. At the time, he was in a hurry to get his rounds made, and he did not pay much attention to it. But he did remark about what he had seen, and on July 4th, he and his wife and a daughter went back to the spot and gathered up quite a bit of the debris. The next day, he heard about the flying discs, and he wondered if that was what he had found, might be the remnants of one of these. See, this is not part of his original story, because in his original story, he kind of ignored it, and he had shown it to a few other people and then realized he should tell somebody, because he knows what a weather balloon looks like. So this guy, now my opinion is that this guy has said, yeah, you need to let the military, they've already taken this military guy, the military guy who made that report, like his career pretty much ended on the fucking spot. They just said, you just gotta say that's not what you reported. You gotta say this is what you reported, and that this particular one guy who made a press release was the one who got mixed up. So he heard about the flying discs because there'd been a rash of UFO sightings in the area. He'd heard about it and wondered if that's what he should do. Well, I don't know at what point that I have no idea at what point that did or didn't happen, because that was oh my God. I've been getting scam calls this week. They kind of swing through this area with every Vancouver area. They do it by area code. So when they see my area code, they're like, "Oh, you might be Chinese." There's a huge scam thing happening right now. Well, right now it's been going on for about 4 years. Right now, there's been going on for about 4 years. Yeah, Lisa's live is tomorrow. Yeah, well, what they do here, this is really fucked up, because what they do here, hi, this thing happened, and we need you to call us right away. For English, press, hi, I'm a representative of the government or some other important organization. This thing is happening and you need to call us right away. For English, press 1. For Chinese, press 2. Because we have a really high immigrant population here, which is fine. And that's not the issue, but we have a really high immigration population here. And a lot of them English is their second language, this sort of thing. So a lot of them tend to be, I don't want to say a lot of them. I don't want to generalize or end up saying something shitty, because you could end up sounding really fucking shitty. But thing is that we have a really high immigrant population here. We have a really high percentage of people who are first generation immigrants. So they were not born in Canada. They get these phone calls and they think that something serious is happening because they're not, okay, these calls are, hi, CRA is Canada Revenue Agency, which is the Canadian equivalent of the IRS, right? Hi, this is the CRA from the CRA Department of Canada Government CRA. I would know at a glance that is, oh, you're a fucking scammer, right? So these scams are very, very, very targeted to the Chinese population of this area. It gets so disgusting because, like I said, you get these calls and some of them sound quite legitimate. And until you hear, Canada is a bilingual country, English and French, right? Hi, this is a government agency calling you. For English, press 1. For Chinese, press 2. That's not going to happen in this country. But if you were born in another country and came to Canada as an adult from a country that doesn't speak English as their first language, because you're gonna have English as a second language issues as well sometimes, right? Yeah. But the thing is that they don't give up ever. They don't need to. They get just because we literally have we must have a couple of million like Vancouver, there's area there's Richmond is majority Chinese. The population of Vancouver proper is probably about 40% Chinese. There's a lot of people here, so they just never fucking give up because they're really, really, really hoping to get a Chinese person who was born outside the country on the line, because it's super. Oh, it pisses me off to no fucking end, because they're obviously this got really bad during COVID. Yeah. Blue says, we understand. It's hard not. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like, this is a huge fucking immigrant issue for the Chinese community, for the Chinese community, not from the Chinese community, right? And it's really hard to talk about another ethnicity or culture without taking the risk, right? But the thing is that these poor people are targeted day and fucking night. And the minute you answer the call and they find out that you do speak Chinese, so the minute a Chinese person does pick up the phone, it is fucking relentless. There are people, especially elderly people, elderly Chinese here, who have literally paid tens of thousands of dollars in fines to these scammers, thinking that they're being fined by the Canadian government for something. They're afraid to tell their friends. They're afraid. It pisses me off. Pisses me off to the end. Oh, okay. Good night, Blue. Anyway, that babble is over. Let's get back on track. Actually, I gotta go blow my nose. I really should just do an intermission, because it's so freaking predictable that after the first hour or so, I'm up to go blow my nose. And then I stand up. You ever do this where you stand up and it's like a hose unkinking and you also suddenly have to pee? But anyway, so let's get back on track with this. Let's try to wish me luck. Okay. So this guy has found a weather balloon from Project Mogul. We're really the this sanctioned, approved report is really hard going at this. Okay, it's a weather balloon. It's a weather balloon. It's a weather balloon. It's a weather balloon. We are being beaten about the head and shoulders, but this is a weather balloon. Okay. Does it stop there? Other authors seek UFO witnesses. Well, there's a whole bunch of people that came forward as witnesses. Apparently, you can't go to Roswell without tripping over UFO witnesses. And unfortunately, being UFO friendly is really good for business in Roswell. So that's not necessarily something that's going to be very helpful. I promise there's a point. I just like to hear my own voice. Okay. Co-authors of a major book on the 1947 crash of at least one alien spacecraft in the New Mexico desert. So putting out a call to want to meet with people who have seen something. Well, there was plenty of people with giving very clear evidence of giving very clear accounts on what they had seen the whole time, and they were ridiculed into silence. Okay. So we've got this. So basically, now they're saying it now that, oh, it's 1995 and people who were there don't want to talk about it anymore. It's like, I wonder why. Okay. So that proves there's nothing there. So these are people that were, okay. So crash site scenarios and research methods, the crash sites. So apparently this is this map isn't going to do much. I think you guys can see, I think you guys might be able to see my mouse moving around. Barely. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock our time. Yeah. Tricia says, I vaguely remember that there being reports that the material found was covered in Christmas-themed wrapping tape. That's what they tried to say were the unknown symbols. Oh, yeah. All sorts of shit kept coming up, talking about how, once the military got a hold of it and people started being shamed into silence, a lot of stuff changed. Okay. A lot of stuff about the reports changed. A lot of people changed their stories. A lot of people suddenly didn't remember or didn't want to talk about it anymore. So this is New Mexico. Walker Air Force Base is here. Holloman Air Force Base is here. So there's 2 Air Force bases on either side of the ranch. Where's the ranch? And this is only if you can see my, there's the crash site there. There's that. And then there's another crash site over here. The really interesting thing is that depending on which way the wind is blowing, it might not have even, the debris was found and nobody knows for sure how long it was there before it was found. But there was more than one crash site for debris, which is fine. You are launching weather balloons. Sometimes they get away from you and crash to the ground. Absolutely makes sense. That part doesn't surprise anybody. Okay. The scenarios. So now we're talking about all the different things that people are thinking and happened. It must be emphasized that the claims of bodies only became part of the Roswell incident after 1978, when they were erroneously linked to the July 1947 retrieval of Project Mogul components. Again, Project Mogul. Listening, sensing equipment, just equipment. Okay. So now we're really getting into the weeds here. Common threads, detailed similarities. So they're talking about a second crash site of something. Don't know, don't care. Because this is where missiles and drones were determined not to have been responsible for the accounts. The areas where the alleged crashes took place were in all likelihood too far from the White Sands missile range. So that's something else. It's like, oh, they didn't. So now we're saying there's no way it could have been a missile or a drone. There's no way it could have been we're really deep diving into this idea that these guys could not have seen. They did not see a craft. They were just idiots who didn't know what a weather balloon looked like. It's basically what it's coming down to, right? So these are really bad pictures of a drone on one side, and I don't even know what that is on the other side. Okay, So now we're gonna get back to, so what is it? Why, they found crash test dummies. What? Wait the fuck up. What's going on here? Why is this? So now, this is page 29. So the first 28 pages were all about debunking. Yeah, 1978 was years later. Here's the thing. I am willing to accept that there were no bodies reported at Roswell, and that hi, Kevin. 3 a.m. in Australia for Lisa's launch, but it will definitely be up. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Terry from Australia. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Thanks for stopping by. We are talking about the Roswell crash. So you showed up just in time for the big drum roll reveal, okay? So 30 pages talking about how this is Project Mogul. There was no UFO. Okay, the military's story in 1995, after years of research, the military story is that this was not anything more than a weather balloon. But the bodies reported were crash test dummies. It's like, what? Why the fuck are we on to crash test? What? There was no report of bodies found. There was no this, no that, no this, no that, right? And like I said, we have no evidence that this guy, the report that this guy made, there's no indication that he actually got up close or personal with the site until after he reported it. I mean, he just said, oh, he saw it and he decided to ignore it for whatever reason, right? Years later, people are saying, there were bodies there and they weren't human. That's what freaked so many people out. And that is the theory. The theory is that the reason why the military guy immediately announced UFOs was because there was bodies found at the site that they couldn't pass off as human. And they knew, the military guy is like, word's going to get out. There's nothing we can do to hide this. And then the military went, sit down, buddy, hold our beer, watch us fuck this up. So, high altitude research balloons. Well, there was no bodies found, but the bodies that were found were crash test dummies. This makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense. I will tell you right now, it makes absolutely no sense that if you are saying there were no bodies found, why are you now, page 28 of a 232-page document, going to go on and on about how basically what they were doing, what they were experimenting with. This was part of a real project, okay? The object of these studies was to devise a method to return a pilot or astronaut to Earth by parachute if forced to escape at extreme altitudes. Extreme altitude parachuting. That makes sense. Started from 1953 to 1959. Wait a second. So basically, you're saying that if there was a body, deny. Oh, we've been doing extreme altitude parachuting tests starting 6 years afterwards. It's like, it makes no sense. The reason why it makes no sense, this report just looks like a smoking gun to me. It's like, okay, so now we're back to the same map. This is the areas in which all the testing was done. Okay, 6 years after Roswell, where bodies were apparently found. But you're saying bodies weren't found. But if they were, this is what they found. No, it doesn't. Countering claims of a cover-up, the Air Force projects that used anthropomorphic dummies and human subjects were unclassified and widely publicized in numerous newspapers and magazine stories, books, and television reports. These include a book written by test pilot Kittinger, The Long Lonely Leap, another book. Okay, that's fine. This is fine. This makes sense. Military, this is information the military would want. Why are they reaching back and saying if there was a body found at Roswell, that it was a crash test dummy, which again, I'm pretty sure that just the simple lack of blood or whatever, I don't want to get too gross, but I'm pretty sure that if I found a body versus a crash test dummy, that I would know, oh, this isn't real. It must be something, right? So they're showing all this stuff. These are the crash test dummies. Now, the reports of bodies from Roswell were short short beings about 4 feet tall. These crash test dummies were the same size as a regular person. Wait a second. I mean, even in the 40s, people knew what a mannequin was. They're not going to mistake somebody in US Air Force gear of a normal human height. You're not going to mistake this guy for a 4 foot tall alien. So now they're talking about, these are the cargo trucks that we would send to go, because now, don't forget, ooh, I want to hear about that, Terry. I want to hear all about that. Oh my God, you have got, if you have the time for it, I would love to hear a little quick something. I would love to get a little bit of, yeah, tell me, don't write, well, okay, write me a book if you want to, but I would love to hear more about that. Leave me a comment. Tell me about it. Okay. So I'm getting on my high horse now. Don't forget, once Roswell was reported to the military showed up with equipment to come pick up this shit. Okay. So now they're saying to expedite recoveries, crews were pre-positioned with their vehicles along a paved highway in the area where impact was expected. Well, wait a second. Yeah, typically 8 to 12 civilian and military recovery personnel arrived at the site of an anthropomorphic dummy landing as soon as possible following impact. Okay, well, this doesn't make any sense. So basically, you're sending up these dummies. You're doing top secret government work, top secret military research, and you're letting these things land on public land? Well, that doesn't make any sense considering how big these Air Force bases are. Like, what the hell? No, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So they're explaining this is all this, we have a weapons carrier to pick up crash test dummies. Well, I'm pretty sure that if you're dropping, they don't need it. They don't need that. Why would they need that? Why would they need a weapons carrier? An L-20 and C-47 transport aircraft. Well, that, the exact vehicles and aircraft described by the witnesses as having been present at the crash saucer locations. On one occasion, just southwest of Roswell, a high dive project officer even conducted a search for dummies on horseback. Okay, so this makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense because yeah, they were worried that somebody had evidence. Yeah, big no thank you for alien abduction. This makes absolutely no sense. If the government, the US military, at that point, the Cold War is in full swing. The government, the Cold War is in full swing. World War II just ended. Nobody's going to ask fucking questions. The military had the space and the resources to do these kind of tests without a single ounce of fear that these things were going to land on private land. And why are they landing on private land so far away from the base? There is absolutely no reason for this to even be happening. Now, knowing that there's UFO activity in the area because the UFOs are keeping an eye on the base or whatever the heck's going on, there is I don't want to say evidence, because obviously if we had evidence we'd have proof and the military would have to stop fucking around. But there was report after report after report of really, really, really high levels of UFO activity around most US military bases, most military bases in the world. Military bases are basically hotbeds for UFO activity outside of anything that you could shrug off as research and R&D, research and development, right? So you've got the military, you basically own a quarter of the fucking state. The military basically owns a quarter of the state, and they cannot arrange one of these tests without positioning all this ordnance on public land where anybody can see it. That makes no sense. They managed to develop they managed to develop the nuclear fucking bomb without anybody knowing anything about what was happening. They built an entire city or town on the military base just so that their military families couldn't come and go without being they had no problem doing that, but they can't drop a parachute with that, and they have to use all of this equipment, including weapons carriers. What did they call it? Yeah, a weapons carrier, a wrecker, a 6x6. That's the 6x6 right there. That type of vehicle. It's like, wait a second, a weapons carrier. Why do they have to treat a crashed? Why do they have to treat this debris as weapons? Why do they need a weapons carrier for this? No, there's no. There's no logic to this whatsoever. So basically, there were no bodies found at Roswell, but let us explain what the bodies they found at Roswell were. What? The fact that they're trying to make one equal the other makes no sense. So now they're talking about experiments with live pilots, which makes sense. Okay, this project was real, okay? But this project started 6 years after Roswell. Why is this project? And they go on and on. And I'm going through this these are crash test dummies hanging up, getting ready to be dropped. They use stretchers and gurneys to pick up the 200-pound dummies in the field and move them into the laboratory. For the first 10 balloon flights, dummies were placed in insulation bags to protect temperature-sensitive equipment, which makes sense, okay? These bags may have been described by at least one witness as body bags used to recover alien victims from the crash of a flying saucer. Again, the military reserve is huge. How is it that they cannot do this without? How is it that these crashes are happening in areas accessible to the public? Yeah, in one occasion, northwest of Roswell, a local woman unfamiliar with the test activities arrived at a dummy landing site prior to the arrival of recovery personnel. She saw what appeared to be a human embedded headfirst in a snowbank and became hysterical. She screamed, "He's dead! He's dead!" Okay, and then they got there and said, "No, this is just a research thing." Really, really, really fucking easy to deal with. So now they're saying that people mistaking these people seeing the, some people saw these dummies, mistook them. So that's proof that there was no bodies at the Roswell crash. And this goes on and on and on and on. This is a 200. So now we're talking about high altitude polyethylene research balloons. That's a 1946. So now we're talking about, this is how big. Is that how big the balloon was? Relative sizes of a modern high-altitude research balloon, an airliner, and a hot air balloon. Inaccurate characterizations of the giant high-altitude research balloons as weather balloons, which are typically 15 feet in diameter, has historically been the source of confusion. Yeah, a regular weather balloon is actually quite small. So okay, so now you're going to explain weather balloons to us, but this guy knew what it was. The guy who initially reported it, as well as several other people who are said to have seen it, they knew what a weather balloon looked like, and that's the reason why this became worth reporting to the military, was because it wasn't a weather balloon. So this is what they're saying this guy found. It's like no. High altitude balloons in America's first satellite. So now we're talking about how high altitude balloons are so sophisticated based on stuff that happened after 1947. It gets crazy. A drawing from a popular UFO book, The Truth About UFO Crash at Roswell, depicts an alien spacecraft allegedly drawn by an anonymous witness. A tethered V balloon shown here at Holloman Air Force Base Oh, that's the one on the left is the drawing, and the one at the right is the tethered V balloon. I'll tell you right now, I am the military. I am trying to hide my activity. The very first thing I'm going to do is go, oh, we can replicate this drawing as a balloon and debunk something. Without any evidence of this photo having been taken before the UFO sighting, you're just wasting your time. So basically, no bodies, no this, no that. This didn't happen. That didn't happen. And yet every single thing that they're talking about, they can just go, yeah, this was just a big misunderstanding. They took the time to put out a 232-page report. Oh yes, crash site number 2 was allegedly 175 miles northwest of Roswell. There is a second site northwest of Roswell, the San Augustine Plains, where there was a report that a flying saucer crashed at this location and was recovered by the U.S. military, and is supported by 3 principal testimonies, 2 secondhand and 1 firsthand. This is something else that people say is that these 2 crashes happened like in the same year, and that might be why there's some confusion as to what's going on. I don't recall the date. Yeah. I don't remember whether it was before my husband and I were married or after. I don't recall the date, but he saw a UFO fall and he got nearly to the site, but they got nearly up to the UFO, but it was close enough that you could see some creatures. He said they didn't look like human beings out there. And along came government cars and trucks. I guess it was government. You know, it was a long time ago, and they told him to go on back and forget that he ever saw anything, and that's all that I recall. So, and of course, we're back to the crash test dummies. That didn't exist yet and weren't being used. And why would you get it? You would not. Okay, crash test dummies have to be accurate. So if the average person is like 5'7", the crash test dummy is going to be 5'7", not 4 feet tall. They're not dropping 4 foot tall things. Yeah, no hands were not covered, only had 4 fingers. So these are the accounts. And then now we're back to crash test dummies again. Back to the crash test dummies, back to the crash test stuff. It's like, what's that got to do with Project Mogul? So they're going on and on and on about Project Mogul. Wait a second. I was over on the other page, missing all of this. I don't know if Terry's still here. If you're still here, see you later. Bye. If you're not here, sorry I missed you. Yeah, 25 years ago. There was a major UFO incident near a military base in Australia where a UFO was reported. Australian military goes out and gets it, and then suddenly the US military is loading up some shit and taking it away in an unregistered flight. But I've been trying to find information on that. I can't find a lot. Anyway, so this report goes on and on, and I'm only at page 74, and we're back to crash test dummies again and again. Summary, more summary. References to anthropomorphic. Oh my God, I can't even say it right now. Too much pop. So the missing nurse and pediatrician. So now this is bringing up other things, right? Even though the name of the nurse is incorrect, it appears that a nurse assigned to the Roswell AAF Station Hospital in 1947 may have been the basis for what claims. Ooh, see, okay, now this is something else the report's doing. I am definitely going to take a second look. I am definitely going to go through this. Yeah, UFOs are a really super interesting topic. Like, we live in a major city, and we could have dozens of UFOs going over every fucking day, and we would never notice because we have helicopters, small plane, we have major aircraft from the airport coming over. Nobody looks up. Nobody here looks up. There could be a UFO parked over my house right now, and people would just assume that it's a helicopter. They wouldn't think about it, right? But the really interesting thing, is just how hard this report is trying to debunk. Oh, okay. So the missing nurse. This is on page 89 of this document. I'm going to link the document, by the way. I totally forgot to. If anybody likes, there's a lot. It's a huge document with a lot to get through. But that is the document that I've been referring to. This caught my attention because we've got it's 3:45 though. I gotta find it in me to move on somewhere. This document really caught my attention. I just stumbled across it like this morning. What's really catching my attention is this is an officially sanctioned document, and they are trying so hard to debunk everything that they're actually proving the point. It's like why is it so important in 1995 to reach back and rewrite a story? Yeah, the flying saucers and the little green men. Why is it so important to reach back 40 years to debunk something that most people like? Okay, let's face it. Roswell is so famous and so well known, and trying to debunk it 40 years later is like, that's just stirring up a hornet's nest. Why did they do that? I think it makes absolutely no sense. I am definitely going to spend the evening on this thing. Or okay, now I'm not going to go through every single piece of stuff because a lot of it's silly, but like this whole missing let's go back up. Where is it? I'll have to go find it again. This missing nurse and doctor makes no sense to me. I've never heard of that part. And yet this document is in such try-hard mode that they're bringing it up. They are bringing up things that the public has stopped being interested in. There's so much other good information around Roswell, and I knew there was a second crash reported in the area. I just kind of forgot about it, and it's really hard to find information about it now, right? Here's all the information I need right now in a Defense Department document that they released in 1995 to try and debunk things that people were no longer talking about. Makes no sense. Roswell is really interesting because even the military is still paying attention. It's like this makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense that they are still debunking this 40, 50 years later, right? Michelle Russell says, I wonder if the incidence of sightings has increased with the president's presence of drones everywhere these days. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is why. This is why. Yeah, Robin says, what's even more disturbing to me than finding UFO is the difference that our military seems so stupid as to not know the difference between metallic crash wreckage and a balloon. And this is the thing, they did. They knew the difference, but for some reason, they chickened out at the last second and decided to debunk it instead of whatever the hell was going on. Thing is that I got to keep my glasses on so I can see. I think we are closer and closer and closer to the government, whichever, and we don't, whether it's the World Coalition government, that the Illuminati, we don't know whose government. The Brazilian government has already made a statement that UFOs are real and that it's only a matter of time before first contact is made and proof of their existence is revealed to the general public. But this is the government of Brazil. Yeah, Dr. Swamp Gas. Yeah. But I think, okay, we're getting closer and closer and closer to that level of undeniable proof that the government is going to have no choice but to say, yes, they're real. And this is, and they have no choice. It's coming. They can't stop it. So now they have to by slow measures trickle truth us, start talking about things, start talking about, oh, national security, this, so that when the truth comes out, that we'll still trust our government. And like I said, whichever government that may be, there's already talk. There's already like they call it the Five Eyes. It's a security agreement between Canada, US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and there's already a conspiracy. Well, there's dozens of conspiracy theories about any one government, to be honest. But there's a theory that one of the reasons why they formed an alliance, in spite of being so far apart, because you got Canada and the US over here, the UK way over here, and then way down here you've got Australia and New Zealand. And there's already a theory that basically goes like, yeah, one of the reasons why they formed this alliance was to monitor and work on UFO first contact, blah blah blah, to stay ahead of everybody else. Yeah, Rama says, I think they can't say it's real. I think they can't say it's real because we have no defense against any of it. The technology is so far beyond us. The truth makes us insecure. I think that's exactly what it is. The truth is that if UFOs are real, then aliens are real, and they are more technologically advanced than us, and we are not geared to be able to handle that. We can't handle it. Period. Yeah, Neuralizer, Men in Black. I don't know. Well, if I wake up tomorrow and I forget about this chat, we'll know. But I think the existence of drone, everybody's got a cell phone. We've got drones, we've got cell phones. Everybody's got a cell phone. Like even in African villages. I was watching this really cool documentary about how technology works. This is important, and this is the big picture. I keep saying big brain. I mean big picture thinking, where it's like, how does technology in an how does an African village's handling of technology relate to UFO activity? And here's how it relates. It's like, okay, so even smaller African villages that don't have electricity and running water, how they handle it in their culture, in their areas. I was watching, I think it was a Somalia village or something like that the one time. This is important because what they do is the village gets together and everybody pays a bit of a tax. Not it's a voluntary thing, but everybody pays a bit of a tax, couple dollars a month or whatever. They pool their money together, they build a shed. They put a generator in that shed, okay? Then they use their money, they go out and buy gas, they power up the generator. What they do with the generator is they power up so the generator is turned on for like 2 or 3 hours a day or whatever, right? Everybody brings their cell phones and charges them. Cell phones in Africa are really, really common now, because even in more rural areas that don't have access to other forms of electricity, yada yada yada, they'll get together and do these things so that they can power their cell phones. So now they're in communication with the rest of the world. And it was a really cool documentary because, like, I mean, it could have been Somalia, must have been anyway, geography nerd here, okay? So the thing is that you are an African villager in a village that has no running water and no regular access to electricity. You're powering your smartphone, right? You're powering a smartphone, whether or not you're powering a smartphone, because what they're doing is they're powering their generator. The generator powers, like, I have no idea how cell phones, I know that we do satellite phones and stuff like that. I have no idea how they would connect to the internet or to or to get a phone signal. But there are towers, there are satellites. So these are people who are living a very, very rural existence in a small African village in countries that don't have a lot of technology, and they are still able, oh, there's a light in the sky, let's record it, right? This is where it matters. Even the most technologically lacking society on our planet has still, like, most of them have access to levels They do not make use of technology day in and day out like we do, but but most of them do have daily access to it. Yeah, Dr. Stephen Greer, is it not, claims that we have secret technology from retrieved UFOs since the 1920s, including free energy and anti-gravity, that the government put a lid on because big business is making money on fuel. I will tell you right now, there was a scientist that apparently produced have you ever heard of a water clock? I actually had one, a little clock, and it had a water battery. The battery was just a little compartment. You put a couple of drops of water in it, and the natural static of the water, I don't know anything more than that because God knows I'm not a scientist, was enough to power this little clock. And as long as you change the water, every 3 days or whatever, this clock would run reliably, basically forever. Well, somebody took this technology. It's a novelty, right? Somebody took this technology, scaled it up, and built a car, built an engine running on water, right? Investors bought it, investors bought it, put it under lock and key, and it's never been seen since. And I can believe that. I can believe what Robin Toadstool Tarot, I can believe what he had. I can believe that as a theory because it is common and it happens all the time. Tesla came out with his form of electricity and he was suppressed by who's the guy? Edison. Edison developed AC current and Tesla developed DC. I forget which was which, right? So Edison had the better funding. He had basically one had to win, so the other one had to be suppressed. We do this all the time. So if we have alien technology, we are going to suppress it. Yep. I didn't hear that the government suppressed it. I heard what I heard was that like one of the big three bought the, oh, this is cool, let me buy it from you. They bought his patent and then just simply put it in a drawer somewhere and forgot about it. Yep. Yeah, they're hiding something. They're hiding something. Like, I mean, right now the big push is to right now we have this huge push to EV, electric vehicles, even though we're not actually ready for it. I'm not against EV cars. I'm not against electric cars. I am against what they're doing now and the way that they're doing it, because they did a study, and in order for Biden signed a mandate that said that by whatever, that 30% of all vehicles need to be electric, and they did the math and went, in order to accommodate that, we have to build 15,000 electric charging stations every month or every day. Was it every day or every month? 15,000 stations. I'm talking about the stations where you pull it in, there's 10 bays, right? They have to build 15,000 of these parking lot. I don't have you guys seen them where you go driving by and there's like a Tesla charging station where there's like 10 to 15 bays? They have to build 15,000 of those a month for the next 20 years, and they still will not be able to have enough charging stations in place to accommodate these electric vehicle targets. It makes there's a gap in logic here. And it's like, why, I think we're running out of oil. Honestly, I think that there's a whole lot of stuff that they're not telling us. Oh, Michelle has to go. Oh yeah, Lisa and I. Yeah, Lisa and I we are going out for a date night. So we're doing that. We're going to take our time. Maybe go for a drive, or maybe go for a drive after, just to tool around. We both just kind of really enjoy that a little bit. And then I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing for the rest of our evening. We got regular dog stuff to do, but she'll be fine. And then tomorrow she'll be a wreck, but that's okay. But you have a great day, Michelle. Yeah, they'll upgrade the technology before they install those stations. Yeah, this is the thing. So if they can develop an electric car. Okay, here's the problem with electric cars. Right? Okay, that's a whole separate art. I don't really care. Okay, so basically, where Roswell is concerned, they're hiding something. They're hiding something. We don't know what it is because it's just too much time has passed, right? But when they come out with a document like this, and I'll link it again, just so it's there. When they come out with a document like this that spends 232 pages debunking it by accidentally revealing, like, oh, this thing that happened, these crash test dummies that we started using in 1953. It's like, well, Roswell happened in 1947. What does that have? How are they connected? They're not. This is a try hard moment. This is 1995 that happened. 1995 is like, we really need to be the ones that are in charge. We need to be 100% in charge of what people believe when it comes to UFOs, aliens, and little green men. So this goes on and on, 232 pages, talking about crash test dummies, talking about things like, I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing is that they're hoping that nobody actually takes the time to read it. But I'm sorry, high altitude parachuting is definitely something that the military would want to do, but they weren't doing it in 1947. They didn't start doing it till 1942. Some of the things that they were finding, like I said, weapons a vehicle designed to transport weapons. Why do they need that to carry weather balloons and crash test dummies? They don't. Yeah, what's this? It was all sharp, like broken glass. A witness describes the debris in the rear of an ambulance at Walker Air Force Base. Okay, so somebody describes, the debris was most probably the remnants of the polyethylene balloon, similar to the one in this photo. Well, okay, for starters, look at that photo. Here's where they shoot themselves in the ass. This is what the debris of a polyethylene balloon looks like. This is what the guy was holding up. Well, wait a minute. They don't look anything alike. They don't look even remotely alike. Yeah, there's rumors that a little green man. Yeah, there's rumors that a living alien was recovered and moved over to Area 51, where he basically lived out the rest of his life. Whether or not he's still alive, we don't know. But that's okay. You've got free power. When your date car runs out of gas, Lisa can get out and push it. Yeah, this is the one. Back to EV cars. It's been 2 hours. We can jump off of Roswell. They'll upgrade the technology before they install those stations. Yeah, here's the thing. This is the reason why I am against electric vehicles is not because I'm against electric vehicles. It's because we are so fucking not ready for it. Because right now, right this minute, they're using coal. Okay, you plug in your electric vehicle to a power network that is run off of coal. We still use coal-fired power plants to generate our household electricity. That is dirtier than the gas we're putting in our regular cars right now. This makes no sense. Why are they asking us to do that? Clean up our energy sources first before asking us to power a whole ass car with it. The batteries that we use to power our cars only last for about 10 years. And then after that, it costs up to $50,000 for a new set of batteries. It's like, wait a second, $5,000 a year just to own these batteries. The charging stations are not the technology. The charging technology. It takes 45 minutes to power up your car. That makes no sense. I'm going to drive my car somewhere, park it, spend 45 minutes charging it, drive it home. Like, I get it. Like, help, the right thing isn't always convenient, but it makes no sense because if 30% of all cars are running on electricity, then that 45 minutes to gas, you've seen the regular lines at a regular gas station, right? This makes no sense. Why at 45 minutes to fill up 45 minutes to an hour to charge your car, it's literally going to take, they can't, they're going to need 5 to 10 times the amount of charging stations as they do gas stations just to keep all those cars filled up. And then the eco footprint of an electric car, the batteries are so toxic. The components that go into the battery are more, they're more environmentally unfriendly than the lifetime of using a gas powered car with a decent car with a properly working catalytic converter, blah blah blah. So it's like, there's no logic here. Electric vehicles currently are worse for the environment, worse for it costs and expenses. They're all around there. There's a huge disconnect here. And yes, I want to see electric vehicles become a thing. I want to see something become a thing. But what they're doing right now and the way that they're doing it right now is not, it's not feasible in any realistic way. And then they will fix the technology, they will clean things up, they will improve everything, and then we'll start getting, yeah, hamster wheels. Yeah. No, like Robin's right. Okay, the prices will go down in mass production. Remember how expensive early computers were and took up a whole room? Now we have them on a phone for a couple $100. This is the thing. We need a car that charges in less than 45 minutes, or that can charge in, we need a car that can charge in 45 minutes on just your home current. Run an extension cord, plug in your car. We need it to be that simple. Eventually it will be. But man, okay, we are working towards it, and that is a really, 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 really good thing. People that want to be early adopters and get these cars now, that's great. That's awesome. That's what funds the future. That's what gives these companies money for their future research, and that's fine. But the government getting in the middle of it and trying to force it to happen makes no logical sense. Except for the part that the government is like, oh, well, if we force it to happen, we can invest and make shit tons of money. But anyway, yeah. Yep. We need this to be convenient. I need to come home, plug in my car, go about my day, have my car back, and life be good. Because the reality is, like I said, up to an hour to we go over to, there's a charging station not too far from us at this one plaza. There's about, I think it's like 12. There's like 12. So a charging station is like a gas station, and then there's like 12 different spots. For anybody who I'm not pretending to know where everybody is and what they do and don't see on a daily basis. The charging stations that I'm talking about are where you drive up and there's like 12 different bays to pull up to and charge your car, right? We have a big one. We have two big ones here, and they're always full all the time with people waiting. Yeah, and hybrids, they use gas to power the electric battery by driving, so they work off of each other. I don't know how the tech of a hybrid works. But yeah, there's some sort of a one charges the certain functions are run off the gas and other functions are run off the electrical system. I'm not sure how that works, but no, thing is that we cannot, in order for this to make sense, okay, you pull into the gas station, you get your gas, you leave. You're maybe at the pump for 5 minutes if everything's going right. So 5 minutes, 5 times 12 is 60. So in an hour with each person taking approximately 5 minutes, one singular gas pump can power 12 cars. Over at the EV station, that's one car. So we need, in order to have a turnaround, because we're talking lineups now. I mean, I kid you not, we go into this one plaza and you can see like 20 or 30 Teslas just waiting. They've all got this one side parking lot just completely filled up, waiting for their turn to get over to the pumps, to the charger station, right? So the thing is that for every one gas station, for every one gas pump, you need 12 charging bays. That's an entire EV charging station. When I go to my gas station, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. When I go to my gas station, there are like 12 pumps. Okay. There's like 2, 2, 2, 2. Even if you go to a small, you go to a small gas station that's got 4 pumps. Okay. That's cool, right? That's really cool, right? That's 48. That amount that can charge 48. That's the equivalent of 48 Teslas, right? So when things are busy, you've got the equivalent of, you've got 48 cars can go through this gas station in an hour, but 48 bays need to be in use at the same time to charge 48 Teslas for an hour. This is why I'm against EV charging. Just that alone makes it like, yeah. Yeah, they still have to find a way to make money off of it. Otherwise, they let us all have access to free energy. I'll tell you right now, there's so many government conspiracies. It's fucking crazy. Like this whole Roswell thing. The funny thing is, for me, this whole Roswell thing, this is a weird tie-in. But when you see how hard the government has tried to spin and respin and spin and respin the Roswell incident over and over and over again, up to the point where they are creating these reports that say nothing, I can look at something like electric vehicles and go, oh no, there's a conspiracy behind this somewhere, somehow. And I mean, I think the biggest conspiracy is that I think there's a lot of these countries who are saying, well, we've got tons of oil. I don't think they've got much at all. I think a lot of these countries that we get a lot of our oil from are actually running out of oil, and they're just lying about it to keep the prices high. But something, and as long as the government stays in control of it, they're happy. But I don't know. I don't believe every conspiracy that comes my way, but I think. Yeah, there are so many reports all over the world since the 50s, and we're still going strong talking about Roswell and Betty and Barney Hill. Absolutely. It's like no matter what they do to try to debunk this stuff, they just end up digging it deeper, and yet they keep trying. And I'll tell you right now, give me 5 minutes on the job, and I could have debunked this stuff years ago. It's like this makes absolutely no sense why the government and the military are still neck deep in even acknowledging this shit. It's like, you know what? This is a drama from the 70s. We're not going to do this anymore. And instead, 232-page reports coming out in 1995 makes no sense. But that's okay, because it's not my problem. We have to decide what we're talking about next week. I don't know. What do we want to talk about next week? I mean, we could talk about stupid shit the government does, but that would just keep us going forever and ever and ever. Talked about the Matrix at all? It's come up. The idea that we're living in a simulated reality. I would have to double check. Did we talk? I know I've mentioned it. I mention it all the time. I don't know. I don't think we did a full chat on it. I don't know if there's enough. As a theory, it makes a lot of sense, but I don't know if there's enough to talk for a couple hours. That's what we should do that's what we should do on the next one. Next one, we should hit and run. Next week, we can have an anything goes. Hey, what do you want to talk about? Because Lisa calls it my trivia brain. I'm not an expert on anything, but I've pretty much heard about everything. And I love looking shit up on the fly. So maybe next week we're just going to have a ask me anything style. And yeah, glitches in the Matrix videos. Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of weird stuff. I came across a glitch in the Matrix just the other day. Somebody was commenting on Justin Trudeau is the prime minister of Canada, right? Somebody was commenting. He's separated from his wife. I guess a couple of years ago now. And somebody said, "What do you mean, wife?" I thought he was married to his boyfriend and had been for a long time. And somebody's like, so basically, turns out Mandela effect. Turns out there's a Mandela effect that there is a large number of people around the world who remember our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as being a proud gay man with a husband who has been married for years and even adopted a kid or two. And what's really interesting is that somebody said, aren't you thinking about the Prime Minister of Ireland, who apparently is an openly gay man? I'm not sure. And he said, I know who you're talking about because I'm Irish. And no, that's not who I'm talking about. I've always thought that Trudeau was the first one and that our prime minister was the second one, or I forget, or one or the other, right? So it's like, oh, I mean, there's already a conspiracy theory that he is the secret love child of Fidel Castro. And if you look at a picture of Justin Trudeau with his father and then Justin Trudeau with Fidel Castro, he looks more like Fidel Castro than he does his father. And his parents went to Cuba regularly to hang out with the Castros because they were friends. But you know, it's just a thing. Anyway, yeah, let's do next week. Let's do next week AMA style, and then whatever we'll just follow. We'll just follow the rabbit hole and see where it leads us. Because yeah, that'd be fun. Because I like to look things up as I go anyway. So no agenda next week. Ask me anything. Let's talk about your favorite. Let's talk about your favorite thoughts, conspiracies, topics, blah blah blah, and just see what kind of rabbit hole we can get ourselves stuck in. Does that sound good? Does that sound like fun? Sounds like fun to me. Wait, what's same last name? I think one of your comments didn't go through, Trisha. Sometimes that happens. You said something about you said you said something about same last name. I'm not sure if I'm missing something, but that's okay. I don't have to understand everything all the time. But yeah, next week will be anything goes. Let's just see what rabbit hole. Let's see where we Justin Trudeau. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just came across that one like literally 2 or 3 days ago. But I will tell you right now, the minute he announced that him and his wife were separated, it's like my first thought was, oh, he's dumping his wife so he can come out of the closet. So that was my glitch. I can be a little bit psychic sometimes, so I would not be surprised. We have an election coming up next year, I think it is. I would not be surprised if sometime between now and when the next elections are announced that he is going to come out as gay, because the Liberal Party up here isn't doing so hot, and him coming out of the closet will get him a lot of I do think that he's bi at the very least. That man has pinged every time I see him, I'm like, I don't understand why he's with a woman. It's like, and I have excellent gaydar. Might have something to do with being just a little bit gay myself, but I'll ask my wife about that later. But yeah. Next week, as anything goes. I gotta go now though, because it's 4:15. I'm pretty sure Lisa is going to prioritize getting out of work exactly on time today. I think she's too excited to not. But so hit me with your thoughts, your ideas, your theories, your hit me with any topic, and we'll do that next week. And let's see hit me with any topic next week, and let's see if we can connect. Let's see if there is a connect the dots breadcrumb trail. That'll be the second challenge, the secondary challenge. Oh, we'll get some sleep. She'll sleep. No. We will get some sleep. She will be fine. Oh yeah, you know what, Robin? I've got theories and conspiracies out the wazoo. Some theories I think are just interesting, and I don't necessarily believe it. Some theories I believe, but it's like that with everybody, right? We all have our own thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, and no two are the exact same. But like, I think that there's a whole lot of shit going on that nobody knows about, and I do this. What's logical? I do this logic exercise, and it's like, it is okay. Like this whole debunking, you're still debunking Roswell 70 years later. That's not logical. You're trying to hide something. The truth is, okay, they're still trying, my conspiracy theory about Roswell, they are still trying to debunk Roswell because something got reported, which is very, 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 very true. And the proof is there. And if they don't keep up the pressure, then the garbage is going to fall away, and we're going to realize, oh, wait a second. Like this whole thing about the weather balloons, right? Like, oh, the guy who reported it knows what a weather balloon looks like. Why would he report that as a weather balloon? These photos don't match those photos. Why would the military say there's UFOs? Like, when you strip away all the conspiracy stuff, why would the military release a report saying that a UFO had been found? Period. That should be a huge national security issue right there. And they made that announcement. Makes no sense. 22 mega taller people and on and on. Oh, I've got so many theories about so much of this shit that and some theories, like I said, some theories are just theories, and some are just like, this is interesting, but I don't know what to believe. And some of it's like, oh, you can't talk me out of this shit. It's like, so yeah, let's do that next week. I'm gonna spend the next 20 minutes saying goodbye. So I'm just gonna get going, or I will spend the next 20 minutes saying goodbye. I've still got to walk the dogs. Oh, they don't care. They know what the WALK word means, and they're not reacting to it. So they're fine for now. Anyway, I'm going to get going, though, because I've got things to do, and I will see you guys next week. I'm also going to be, I have no idea what kind of a project I'm going to do yet, but I'm also going to be starting something with that NSFW fabric. So look for me just hanging out and doing a regular sewing video as well. But I'm going to see you all tomorrow on Lisa's live stream. Be there, stop in, say hi, watch her vibrating with nerves. But I will see you guys all tomorrow, and then next week on my own stuff, and next Friday for down the rabbit hole we go.